Hello everyone, welcome to a small episode of cEDH Cast. Today we're just talking about Roger, also known as Rograkh, son of Rohgahh. Tried. So this is a tiny commander. It's a 0 mana 0/1. It's red. It has first strike menace to trample, and also has partner. This commander has been making a huge splash in Commander. It's it's a big splash from a tiny guy. So I know a lot of people have been kind of wondering, like, hey, why is Roger seeing so much play? What is it that's so powerful about having a 0 mana commander? Well, thought I'd sit down, talk to you a little bit about some of the decks that I see playing this commander and some of the synergies I see this being really powerful with. So the first thing I'm going to start out with is Calling the Weak. If you think about it, Calling the Weak lets you sack a dork, probably Roger, to make 4 mana, just for 1 mana. So on turn 2, if you have an Ad Nauseam in your hand, which costs 5 mana, and you have a Roger in the command zone, you just sack your Calling the Weak to Roger, you make 5 mana, because you tap your other land, and you have a turn 2 Ad Nauseam. Additionally, maybe you want to be able to hold up a Fierce Guardianship on turn 1. Well, then what you do is you play your Roger on turn 1, pass the turn. Maybe you want to play Soul Ring or some type of mana acceleration to back it up, sure. But you still have your Fierce Guardianship and your deflecting squats up, which is really valuable. Additionally, there's a lot of times in the early game where maybe you just need a body. Obviously, it's more common in something like Yuriko, but it's very possible that maybe a Tymna deck would want something like this. So Mad Farm is already playing a lot of creature synergies because it can play those cards with Calling the Weak, maybe Diabolic Intent, Plunge into Darkness, but also there's a red ritual that's like Calling the Weak that starts this plunge of something. So there's just a lot of cards that care about sacrificing creature, and there's a lot of cards that care about having your commander in play. So, and often decks want to play both of those cards. So Roger's a really powerful way of doing both of those things while, also, not really having to offer any resources. It's 0 mana. It's totally free. Now, who are people partnering with Rograkh? Well, there's about 3 different decks I've seen so far. So there's the Grixis deck with Silas, there's the Mardu deck with Tymna, and there's the Temur deck with Thrasios. I'll do the Thrasios deck first since that's the one I know the least about, but it's pretty simple. Roger's a really great target for cards like Polymorph and I can't remember the name of the other one, but there's a red one too. So these effects say you exile or destroy a creature, then you reveal cards from the top of your deck until you hit another creature. If you're playing only 1 or 2 cards in your entire deck that are creatures, you can actually get a whole combo. So Divergence Transformations is the red one. So very common targets are cards like Polytyrant. Not Polytyrant. Tyrant. Tyrant is the name of the card. It's Tyrant of something. It says whenever you cast a spell, you can bounce something. So if you have like a Mana Crypt and a Soul Ring, you can bounce those over and over again, make infinite mana. If Thrasios is in the command zone, you can always just play that, draw your deck, and win. If you want to get 2 creatures, you get Dockside and Tyrant. And then you can play the Dockside. You can play your Roger using the mana you have from Dockside. Let's say you just need to replay Roger. It's only 2 mana because it's a commander deck. You really play Roger, bounce Dockside back to hand, replay Dockside, do that infinitely, make infinite treasures, and then play Thrasios and win. And then still, if you only are using Polymorph, which lets you only get 1 creature, at least you still have Roger, so you only need like a Soul Ring, let's say. So Roger's really powerful in that scenario where he's super affordable for the Polymorph effect, he's super affordable to get the chain going. So it's really exactly what you need. Temur is probably the best color combination for that since you have an outlet in the command zone. Additionally, blue and green are both great options for tutoring up or just even having powerful creatures. Thrasios is obviously very powerful in some situations. Generally, he's seen as one of the more powerful commanders in the format. So you get Roger for free with an already very powerful commander. You get access to red, which has a lot of really cool cards. So it makes a lot of sense. Next up is the Tymna deck. So that's traditionally like Mad Farm. So those decks, as I already mentioned, are already playing cards like Tolling the Weak, Diabolic Intent. They might be on some other more like, maybe now they might play Victimize, I could see, because Victimize says sack a creature, reanimate 2 creatures. Maybe you get back a Dockside or something. So that's probably not good enough, but just as an idea. So Roger really fits really well into that strategy. There's a few ways that you might even be able to use Roger with Tymna if you can pump him somehow. There's probably a sword that's just barely good enough to play, just so you can enable Roger with Tymna, since Roger has First Strike, Menace, and Trample, which are all very useful in combat. So yeah, additionally, the red-black-white strategy is just extremely powerful, so you get like Savines Reclamation and Dockside and Underworld Breach, and you get, your Light Tutors and your Gamble and Ad Nauseam and Cloying the Weak, Diabolic Intent, Mono Tutor, Vampire Tutor. So obviously, Mardu's going to be extremely powerful. And you get Deflecting Swat, which is super important, right? So you got Fierce Guardianship in Temur, now you get Deflecting Swat in Mardu. That's very powerful. So now we get to Grixis, where you have Silas Red. Silas Red actually has a lot of really cool synergies with cards like Aether Spellbomb and the Baubles, because he lets you recast artifacts from your graveyard. So he's actually not as dead as people might think initially. Additionally, blue-black is the best Storm colors. With red, you're in Grixis, you can probably build the fastest Storm deck possible. I've heard that this deck is extremely fast, very loose. Glass Cannon is maybe a bit too strong of words, but without a lot of value engines in the command zone, you're trading that for speed. And Roger always giving you that dork to sack to Coin the Week. You always have that dork to sack to Diabolic Intent. It means that a lot of these black-red synergies that already existed are now way more powerful, way more consistent. One of the problems that Grixis always had was actually a lack of creature density, because it wants to play these cards, but doesn't want to play bad cards. Like, I don't know, just bad red, black, blue creatures, creatures that just aren't good enough to normally play, but you kind of have to play them to get your Diabolic Intent and Coin the Weak density high enough. Well, now you don't have to worry about that. Now you can just be hyper fast, mulligan aggressively. So I hope you're getting an idea of like what Roger kind of enables. Whenever you build a deck, you always assume you're going to have those resources in the command zone, right? So when I build a Thrasios and Tymna deck, I build my deck assuming I'm always going to have Thrasios or Tymna, within reach. So maybe I can have hands with tons of mana, because if it means I pull my Thrasios and my Tymna by turn 2 or 3, I have the best card advantage engines available. Maybe I keep hands with tons of rituals because I'm on Crom, and Crom's a great way to refill my hand after I kind of mulligan too aggressively. Roger, on the other hand, is a bit different. Roger is more about always having a creature to sacrifice, and that means that you can always leverage certain spells that have otherwise not been quite good enough in Grixis. And that's really powerful. Additionally, as I mentioned, I'm going to keep mentioning it because it is so important. Always having a Deflecting Swat, always having a Fierce Guardianship. That means if you sequence correctly, there's a lot of hands that you don't probably have to sack Roger. You just have to, Roger being Rograkh, you don't have to sack him. You just have to keep him in play so that you can use your protective counterspells, and that's plenty powerful. So, additionally, it's not like a great thing, but just having a 0-drop that you can play and sack, that's just an additional card towards Breach. I'm sure that makes grinding with Breach earlier a lot easier. Just having that like dumb 0-drop that you can play, sack to some effect, block with, that's just a free card. And if you think about it this way, even if you have a Coin the Weak and Diabolic Intent in your hand, you can sack Roger to Coin the Weak, make 4 mana, spend the 2 mana to replay Roger, and then play the Diabolic Intent, sacking the Roger you just played for 2 mana, and now you just you lost 2 cards because you lost your Diabolic Intent and you lost your Coin the Weak, but you just you effectively got a Demonic Tutor for 1 mana. So it was kind of like maybe Simian Spirit Guide. That's really powerful. So I think Roger's obviously going to have a lot of impact just because of that, and it's just a very powerful card, and it allows you to kind of warp your deck around it in a way that you might not have been comfortable doing before. And I've heard a lot of really good things about the deck. I haven't personally piloted, but I've seen some people goldfishing it, seen it played in a couple games, saw a 4-way game with it played a couple days after it was spoiled. So I'm excited about Roger. I think he's super powerful, and I think he's going to see a lot of play. So hope you enjoyed this breakdown of Roger. I haven't had time to really just do a full set review, so I've just kind of decided I'm probably going to just review individual cards over the next few weeks. So hope you enjoy that. Have a nice one. See you later.